Welcome back, boys. Another long off season has come and gone, and we are back and ready to give you the full breakdown of everything that happened in our off season, the free agency auction, and the inaugural rookie draft in our eighth season of For the Moms existence and our first full season as Dynasty. Nick, welcome back to the show. It is great to see you again. How are you, and what are you expecting from everyone for this season?
Yeah, great to see you as well, Trav. I'm honestly a little surprised that we're already back, and it's a great time of year. We got college football started last weekend, had some great games, including that that ridiculous Colorado game. That was quite the entertaining game, and just football's back now, and it's a great time of the year, a lot of energy. And just capping it off with having this whole free agency period and everybody feeling like their truest full GM self. It's an exciting time of year, and really excited to get back into it this next week.
All right, couldn't put it better myself. So let's go ahead. We're going to go through here and run through everyone's team and give our thoughts and our breakdown. We're going to start off with one half of our defending champs and my co-host Nick Langley and his team, Cleveland Steamers. So Nick, give us your thoughts on what your strategy was this off season and how you think the season's going to play out for you.
Yeah, so we had a good chunk of people already under contract. Kind of the way that we've structured the last couple of years was to get a base of guys that we feel very comfortable with at a price point that we feel good with. So we knew that we weren't going to be able to chase some of the big names in free agency. We had a price point that got priced out pretty quickly once those big name bids started going up for those receivers, the top running backs. So we kind of knew that was most likely going to happen. So we were going to kind of have to pivot and do something a little bit different outside of just trying to chase, maybe one or two people that we really, really liked out of that group. So our big thing was we wanted to go get a tight end. And there were 3 tight ends on the market, those being TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, and George Kittle. And when we realized that we were kind of priced out of that higher tier of running back and receiver, it was like, okay, we're going to go get one of these guys. I actually had TJ Hawkinson as my top guy out of those 3. So we were really excited to get him on the team. And then kind of when that domino fell, then it was kind of like we were playing with house money at that point. We had already gotten Deebo Samuel signed. We got Miles Sanders signed for pretty cheap. So that kind of gave us the luxury to go and chase one of those kind of mid-round, if you were doing redraft, those mid-round tier running backs. And really let us go out and spend some money on J.K. Dobbins, who is a guy that we had drafted first overall in 2020, unfortunately, right before he tore his ACL. So somebody that we had a lot of promise and faith in a couple of years ago. Injuries have limited him, but we really feel good about the talent as long as he can stay healthy out on the field. So that was kind of our approach, not trying to get sucked into like chasing those top guys once they got out of our price point, and really honing in on that tight end positioning, and then kind of just rounding out the roster from that point. But we feel pretty good about this team this year. A lot of returning faces. Most importantly, though, we did get our team captain, our hero, our inspiration, our muse, Odell Beckham Jr. back on the team. Fuck you, Lemp, you pussy ass bitch, for trying to steal him from us. You're a little bitch. Fuck you. We'll see you week 2. Odell's playing, baby.
All right, a lot of energy on right there. I just have one very simple. What do you have to say to the naysayers of our league who question your ability to get under the cap and roster limit prior to week 1?
I'm not a fucking idiot. I know what I'm doing. Like that number is fugazi. It's fake. I'll figure it out. I already figured it out. I'm not Lemp.
All right, very well put. Best of luck to you this season. We'll see if you're able to defend your championship.
Appreciate it.
All right, now moving on, we have yours truly with the Texas side 7-4s. Our strategy going into this offseason was to keep and protect our 3-headed monster and add to it as much as we could. And that is exactly what we did. First off, franchise tag Devontae Adams, a little pricey, but for a receiver like that, you just can't replace that level of talent. So we had to make sure we kept him in our locker room for one more year. And then we went out and added to our running back room greatly, adding Kenneth Walker, Spartan Dog, Mr. 5 touchdowns himself. He's expected to fill our RB2 role this year. And then we also went out and traded for DeAndre Swift from Glizz Mafia. He's on the last year of his deal, also maybe considered a little pricey, but we like the value we're getting for him to slide into our flex spot for one more year. And then with those acquisitions, we had to go and get some budget guys. So we went out and got some nice second year player signings. You can also flex to the taxi squad if need be. First off, we got James Cook, who I'm pretty happy about. And then we got receivers Traylon Burks and George Pickens. George Pickens, I actually do have on my taxi squad at the moment. And then in the draft, we had a bunch of late picks because we traded all our picks away last year, but we were able to get Bryce Young in the first round. So we're happy about that. Add some support to our quarterback room for the season. And yeah, we have plenty of playoff appearances over here, but we're still looking to get our first championship. So the work begins on that this Thursday, and we'll see if we're able to capture our first one in franchise history. And the man I know a lot of people are going to say we're going to have to take it from is Adam of Sticky Mistakes, as this is an odd number year this year, which means it is his year to protect the column on the trophy. So, Nick, I need you to give me the breakdown of why that's not going to happen for my own mental sanity.
I'm not going to be the one to do that here. I do want to talk good and not wish any misfortune upon Sticky Mistakes quite yet. We haven't even gotten to Thursday yet. But this team, was kind of set already going into the season. They had a lot of returning players at very expensive price points per se. They brought back Jalen Hurts on the franchise tag, which is like a huge piece for them. One of their staples for their team, and keeping Aaron Jones, Najee Harris still under contract, Justin Jefferson, one of the highest paid receivers in our league, as he should be. They also had DJ Moore come back, Kyle Pitts, who's one of the higher, more expensive tight ends. So they kind of were a little behind the 8 ball in terms of just cap space availability going into free agency. So they didn't make any like super big splash plays in the terms of like 3-year deals. But they did try to round out the roster with some of the more higher end 2-year players, that being kind of Michael Pittman. They brought in Aaron Rodgers because why don't you want to bring in Aaron Rodgers? He's the GOAT. Juju Smith-Schuster getting some running back help with Brian Robinson Jr. from Washington. At one point, they had like half the league's defenses on their team. They cut them at some point. A couple days ago. And they actually had one of the better drafts, in my opinion. I thought the Marvin Mims pick was a great pick. I had a first-round grade on him, and he went round 2. I thought that was an incredible pick. And then also Rashee Rice, you can it's never a bad idea to take a shot at a receiver who's going to be catching balls from Pat Mahomes. So I think they did a pretty good job with the draft, kind of where they positioned themselves after trading away their first round pick last year. And then kind of did a decent job of rounding out the edges while still giving themselves cap flexibility throughout the regular season. So yeah, they have a decent shot at continuing the column. I hope for the league sanity it doesn't happen. But best of luck here for Sticky Mistakes in their pursuit for immortality on this trophy.
Oh man, I can only hope it doesn't happen. All right, moving on to our fourth team, fan favorite PC Principal. Everyone knew that this team was probably going to be a little excited coming in based on their history of waiver wire accusations. And they met that expectation and more in our first ever free agency auction. Definitely trying to take advantage of the 75 coin rule for signing players to 3-year deals. So you managed to go out and click 4 of them, all at exactly 75 coins. And running back Rashad White, quarterback Justin Fields, running back Isaiah Pacheco, and wide receiver Christian Watson, who was the first signing of the auction period. I don't know. This team has struggled to have success since they've won their single championship. They've yet to be back to the playoffs since, I believe. We'll see if this is the year to do it. They did add pretty good draft, I would say, to their auction. Jackson Smith and Jigma third overall, I think is going to turn out to be a really good pick for them. Also had some really good depth pieces in here, all running backs. You can never have too many running backs in this game. So yeah, we'll see what's to come from PC Principal, and if their protection of the 75 coin limit will prove to be a successful strategy or not. All right, moving on. Team number 5 we're going to cover. We got FaZe Kev, the second half of our defending champs. So Nick, why don't you give us the breakdown of your co-defending champs and your week 1 matchup?
Yeah, I know I mentioned it a couple of times last year. I did feel like Kev was, in my opinion, the team to beat. I mentioned it a couple of times in some of the moves that I made last year. I just felt like we were on a crash course at some point, and it did happen. And this team, I think, did a really good job of kind of retooling and keeping a lot of the pieces they had intact. So just kind of starting out, they got like Josh Allen, Javonte Williams. They put Eckler on the franchise tag. Calvin Ridley's still here. Through the suspension, through the sitting out the season. So he's ready to rock and roll this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the greatest value plays right now in our league. So Kevin, from the very get-go, it seemed pretty obvious that he had a guy he wanted to go get, that being Chris Olave, and he was able to go and get him. Was able to spend 135, which is around that's where all those big wide receivers kind of ended up. That's where the market ended for pretty much all of them. And then he was in the running for like the Joe Mixons, the Tony Pollards, the Ramondre Stevensons, but then it seemed like they kind of became a little bit too pricey for him. So I thought he did a really good job of pivoting and getting into the tight end market when he did. He kind of, for a while there, it was me, Matt, Lemp, Tyler in the tight end market, just going back and forth on those 3 guys. Then Kevin came in and scooped up Dallas Goedert, which I thought was a really, really good signing for them. And then when they kind of had those 2 big pieces filling in that flex spot and filling in their tight end spot, and I think they did a great job of rounding out the rest of the roster. Jahan Dotson, I thought, was one of the greatest value signings of the entire free agency. I remember we were golfing out in New York, and I told Kevin, I was like, there's no, like, Jahan Dotson's about to clear for 15. I feel terrible letting that happen because I know how great of a player this guy is, but everybody else in the league is dumb as shit for letting that happen. I almost just bumped it up because I thought that was ridiculous, but to each their own, I guess. That's going to be an incredible signing. And they also just took a lot of, those $5 or 5 coin dart throws that have been very popular, as teams start to dwindle down their cap space. With the Nico Collins, with the Justin Ross, Jake Ferguson. So all those guys have some sizable upside, and for only 5 coins, again, great signing, great way to kind of round out your roster. So I thought they did a really good job of kind of keeping the core of their team intact while adding a couple key pieces to their starting lineup and to their depth. So I think they have a really good shot of, continuing being a part of the playoff mix, being a part of, championship contender this upcoming season. We play them week 1, and let me tell you, they're definitely one of the teams that we're looking out for again this year.
All right, very well put. Once again, best of luck to FaZe Kev as he looks to defend his title this year. Moving on, team number 6 we're going to cover. We got Wallace Pluto 84, the Little Caesars Mediocrity Bowl staple team, and the definition of absolute wild card at any moment's notice. Absolutely blew up the auction at the very beginning. We had to do a little reset there, clear out some of his bids, make sure they were all legal. Once we got that figured out, he got right back to spending right away as he went and cashed in on Joe Burrow at 125, completely resetting the quarterback market. I'll pull up here. Yeah, most coins spent on a quarterback by 17 or 18 looks like there. So that's quite a bit of an increase. But, when you have a running back like Saquon and he's on shaky terms, but he can be an elite player, but you don't really know how much longer he's going to thrive in his current situation in New York. You definitely got to pad up a team and get ready to run like as quick and as fast as possible. Trust me, I've been there before. So unfortunately, though, for him after that, he didn't have a ton of room to round out the rest of his roster. He was still able to pick up some good picks. Hoping to get the best out of what's left of Adam Thielen. Rashad Penny for 37 on Philly. Another good pickup. Was able to add his Detroit boy and Jared Goff, which will complement his number 2 overall pick in Jahmyr Gibbs out of the Lions. Oh, and then I did also want to add he did franchise tag DK Metcalf, which some consider a gamble, but again, freak athlete like that, it's hard to come by. So we'll see what the season has in store for Wallace Pluto 84. Like I said, they're a Little Caesar staple, but they have yet to get to their first playoff appearance. So we'll see if this is the year for this young squad. All right, moving on to everyone else's favorite Evan Scholar and the holder of our number 1 pick this year. We have Francy Feast and Matt Juckno. Nick, why don't you give us the breakdown of everything and your boy Bijan Robinson, who I know you love.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna start on Francy Feast here with the draft, since he did have the first overall pick. First off, everybody, let's give a round of applause for Matt Juckno not fucking up another draft here. Yep, there we go, buddy. There we go. Let's go. Congratulations. You just got yourself an absolute stud in Bijan Robinson. Use him wisely. You're gonna have him for a little bit here. And I'm telling you, you are going to love him. He is incredible. I actually did want to make a note of his second pick, which I thought was another really, really good pick. Jonathan Mingo out of Carolina. He was somebody that I was desperately hoping would fall to me in the second round. But Matt scooped him up immediately, and I thought it's a great pick. You know, Bryce Young doesn't have a whole lot of weapons out in Carolina. DJ Chark just got hurt, and Jonathan Mingo had like his physicals are off the charts. Like this dude is a freak athlete. So I thought that was another great pickup. And then Josh Downs too in the third round to start it out, I believe. Again, like Indianapolis, who the fuck knows what's going on over there? But Josh Downs kind of seems to have played himself into a sizable role already as a rookie. So a great draft for Matt all around, which is not something that we've been able to say in the past. But going into kind of his free agency, I thought he did a great job in free agency as well. Going after T. Higgins, who surprisingly wasn't a part of that big wide receiver. Like I kind of thought that he was in that same cluster of the other 3 that went for 135. Matt was kind of able to get him for a little bit of a discount deal here. And then also going and scooping up Joe Mixon. For 95, we've had Joe Mixon for the last 3 years. We love Joe Mixon. Can't think of a better landing spot than Francy Feast. You know, they have a lot of the same values that we have over at the Cleveland Steamers. Most importantly, being the feast that is Francy. So rock on, Joe Mixon. Have a great year. And then also one of the better signings I thought of all of free agency was they were able to kind of sneak in and scoop up the 49ers before everybody made that crazy ass run on defenses and just shot the defense market up. They just kind of scooped in, snagged them really quick, and then dipped out and got the number 1 overall defense. So overall, great job retooling this team. For Francy Feast, great job in the draft. And yeah, very exciting for them going into this next season. I think they can make a lot of noise.
So the Francy Feast might be exciting for you, Nick, but I'm going to pull up the team now that brings you just pure hatred, and that is the Can Pams.
I hate this team.
Team of Brennan Lemp. This team just loves to poke and provoke all the other owners of the league and then put in as little effort as possible and still somehow make it work. My personal favorite of this was just seeing the absolute randomness of the timestamps of his bids, anywhere from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. Just any time in between did not matter. This kid was ready to throw 5 bids in and then not touch it for 3 more days.
Yeah.
One big signing he was able to come away with was Tony Pollard. This, of course, comes after 2 years of watching him take all the snaps from Zeke. But now that he finally has Zeke off the roster, he went ahead and grabbed Tony Pollard up for himself. Not too many other big signings out of this team. Still hasn't put his rookies on his roster. Otherwise, maybe I'd talk about him. But a lot of money was already tied up. You know, some players with some question marks, but definitely high-end talent. Lamar Jackson has his contract situation, although that seems to be figured out now. Devin Cook was struggling to find a team. Now we'll see how much juice he has left in New York. And then Cooper Kupp seems to still be dealing with the injury bug again this year. That's obviously a big blow this team. So we'll see if they're able to stay healthy, if his players are gonna be able to get the production that they were brought here to produce. And yeah, we'll see what's up with this team. Most people are not expecting much, but we'll see. All right, now moving on to one of the most proactive teams of the auction. We have the Philly Cheekles and team owner Blake Kostis. So Nick, why don't you close the show for us? Give us your final team breakdown of the night.
Yeah, so it was pretty evident from the start of free agency that the Cheekles here really wanted to go out and get the wide receiver position solidified. They decided to not use the franchise tag on D-Hop, maybe for good reason. But that was the guy that kind of let walk out the door, and really saved a lot of their cap space to go after those 3 to 4 big name receivers that hit the open market this free agency period. And we're able to come away with Garrett Wilson and Devonta Smith to kind of shore up that receiving core of this team. So again, I think those are both great signings. It seemed like the market for those receivers all kind of shook out at 135, so got good value there. And then once they kind of got those dominoes fallen, they also went out and made it a point of emphasis to get Dameon Pierce on Houston. Again, Dameon Pierce looks surefire for a workhorse back this upcoming season. So locking him in for a nice 3-year deal definitely isn't the worst thing in the world, and kind of gives a little bit more depth at the running back position with ETN, and they also have David Montgomery, who's now on the Detroit Lions. But I mean, overall, I think they did a good job of kind of budgeting their free agency auction to kind of fill in the needs. They still do have a sizable amount of coins left, so that they can hit the waiver wire at any point during this season. But yeah, the thing with this team is always trying to keep themselves out of the toilet bowl. So we're going to see if the big wide receiver spending is going to be able to kind of pull them out of a position they find themselves in a little too frequently.
Yeah, this is the defending toilet bowl team. Definitely just had to throw that in there real quick. If they're able to do any better this year, I just hope it's not against my team again, quite frankly.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our 10th and final team of the evening. We have Glizz Mafia, team owner Tyler Cleesby. They had some of the most cap space to spend coming into this auction, and they definitely made sure to put it to good use. As you can see, they only have 17 coins remaining after everything is settled. And they really got to work on some running backs here, picking up Madison for 79 coins, Ramondre Stevenson for 130, and Josh Jacobs for 156. Definitely the most anyone spent on running backs during this auction period. And then while doing all this, they also sent DeAndre Swift out the door in a trade to my team, Texas A&M Fours, for a first-round pick swap and a future second. So still looking ahead to the future, as this team always likes to do. That is how they got themselves in position this year to draft so many players. As you can see, 3 first-round picks they added in Dalton Kincaid, Zay Flowers, and Jordan Addison, all great prospects expected to do big things for this team for a long time. They also added Jake Moody as their kicker, who they don't have on their full roster right now, but expect him to get some playing time in the lineup this year. And yeah, this team has also not been able to get their first championship despite multiple playoff appearances. So we know they're gunning for it again this year. And they also seem to have a good eye set on the future. So yeah, not much else to say. Just good job to this team, and we'll see how this season plays out for them. And with that, we'll take a look at the week 1 schedules, as NFL football is finally back this Thursday. And so that means so is fantasy. So we'll see who gets their first wins on their way to the championship this year. First matchup, we got Texas A&M Fours taking on Wallace Pluto 84. They claim that somehow I rigged the matchup by having me play them, which makes no sense. I guess they are admitting they suck, despite the fact that they're projected to outscore everyone this week, which makes no sense. I think you should have some confidence in your players. That's my only message for you this week, Noah. Moving on, Game number 2, we got the Philly Cheekles taking on PC Principal. A little bit of an underhanded rivalry game. Both teams looking to get off on the right foot after playing in the toilet bowl last year. We'll see which one's able to do so. Third matchup, we got the Pams taking on Sticky Mistakes. Sticky Mistakes looking to get their column, and Pams just looking to get back to relevancy in a way that doesn't involve memes. Fourth matchup, we got a repeat of the championship game from last year. FaZe Kev taking on Cleveland Steamers. Nick, give us thoughts on your team and what you're expecting in your first matchup of this season.
Yeah, well, going against FaZe Kev, it's obviously going to be a really important game. I feel like we're going to be battling for the division once again, so it's going to be a really important game to take. I feel really confident with the team, and I feel even more confident now that Odell's back in the building, getting everybody ready to go. So we'll be ready, and it's going to be one hell of a week 1 matchup here.
All right, and then our final matchup of the week. Glizz Mafia taking on Francy Feast. Glizz Mafia looking to get their championship campaign started. Like I said, it would be their first one ever. And then Francy Feast looking to show off their brand new first overall pick. See who's able to get the better of that one. Obviously, no standings yet. It's the first game. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. Nick, any final thoughts before we get off?
Yep, final thoughts here, boys. This is what we're playing for. Just a quick reminder for those named Brendan Lemp who have never seen it in person before. This is what it's all about. All right. And right here is a little reminder. Make sure that you sign up for Peacock. We're gonna have a good amount of games this year. You can illegally stream all other football games. I don't care. All the Sunday games, Thursday, Sunday afternoon, Monday. Just make sure that you're watching Sunday night on the cock, okay? That's my only request.
All right, boys. I think that about covers it for us. Good luck to everyone this week. We hope to catch you back next week for next week's episode. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in. Peace out.